In Algebra 2, Section 8.1, we're dealing with adding and subtracting rational expressions. Okay, and it's the same rules that apply to multiplying and dividing fractions. Multiplying is pretty simple. All you have to do is just multiply across. When you divide, you take the second fraction that you're dividing and you flip it. So CD becomes DC, and then once you flip it, then that division sign turns multiplication, and you do the same thing you do here and multiply across. And then once you have it here in these points, then you just simplify. You cross out anything that is same from top to bottom because they turn to a 1. So let's start pretty simple. We have this equation here, and basically there's no way, we don't need to take out anything. All we need to do is they have y plus 7, they're the same. So they cross out. So my answer ends up being 3y over y squared minus 9. So this is not necessarily multiplying or dividing part, but once you get to this part, you're going to see if, they can cross out. And anything that crosses out doesn't follow with the answer. So we end up with 3y over y squared minus 9. So go ahead and write this down, do vocabulary, and we have a few more example problems. Alright, so this one is to simplify. It's not as easy as the other one, but all I need to do here is take out, remember how in previous sections in chapter 6 and 8, you just take out what they have in common. 6 and 7, sorry. So let's focus one at a time. Let's focus at this first. Okay, what do both of these terms have in common? They have an a to the 4th. Do you see that? So I'm going to take out an a to the 4th. If I take out an a to the 4th, I'll have b minus 2 left over. Okay? What about here? Here I have a to the 3rd and a to the 3rd. So I'm going to take out a to the 3rd here, and I'll have 2 minus b right here. And here's a trick. You see how this and this are almost the same, except this is b minus 2 and this is 2 minus b? If I took out a negative, so if I was a to the 4th, b minus 2, right? And I took out a negative 1, a to the 3rd, then this would end up being what? Instead of a positive, it would be negative 2, because once I take out a negative, the signs switch. So negative 2, right? And this would be a positive b. And because this is plus, I can rearrange it. So it actually looks like a to the 4th, b minus 2 over, and then the negative goes up here, because once there's a negative top or bottom, it's just its own separate entity. A cubed, and then instead of negative 2 plus b, I can b minus 2. So once I have that, then I can start crossing out. Now in section 6.1, alright, remember how they have properties of exponents, it should be in your flipper. If I'm dividing with the same base, what do I do with the exponents? I'm going to subtract. So 4 minus 3 is 1, and that's a positive 1, so a goes on top. And then b minus 2 crosses out. So my answer is a, but don't forget this negative, because that negative helped me turn this. So my answer is negative a. So let's go through that a little one more time. I took out first what was in common. Okay? And then I could have easily just 4 minus 3 gives me just a. But I manipulated this by taking out a negative from this whole thing so that I can change it to b minus 2. Once that happens, then I can go ahead and cross out b minus 2 because they cancel out, and I end up with just a negative a. Alright? We're going to try one more here. Okay? This is one of those things where we're multiplying or dividing a fraction. In this case, it is a negative, okay? Sorry, a division. So I'm going to keep the first part the same. Okay? This is exactly the same. But I'm going to change this to multiplication. And in order for me to change this to multiplication, I have to flip the fraction. Alright? So this is 6c squared d squared over 5ps. Right? From here, then I can multiply things together. So I'm going to multiply just straight across. 10 times 6, I'm going to multiply like terms, which gives me 60. P, there's no other P. Remember, I'm underlining so I know whether I've done it or not. There's no P, so I'm going to just bring that P over. S squared, there's no S squared, so I'm going to bring that S squared over. And C squared, D squared. Okay? And then I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom, multiply across, because once I multiply, just multiply across. It gives me 15 C squared D, and then P and S. Alright? My last step is to then cancel out any numbers. Okay? The 60 over 15 can be reduced to what? 15, 1, 64. Right? Yeah. So this is 4 on top. Now let's look at the P. P and P, there's only one of each, so they cancel out. I don't write anything down. Look at C. C squared and C squared, they cancel out. Okay? Because there's only 2 minus 2 is 0, so they cancel out. We have S squared and S to the 1. So 2 minus 1 gives me a positive 1, which means it's on top. Okay? And then D squared and D, 2 minus 1, which still gives me a D. And since there's nothing on the bottom, it's just a 1. So it's the same thing as saying 4 as D. So if I'm dividing, I flip, multiply across, and I have all these, and then I start canceling out. Okay? In order for you to know exactly what to cancel out, you have to be able to use the quotient of powers. Alright? So go ahead and write this down. Go do page 446, number 9 and 10, 446, number 9 and 10, and I will see you in class.